Well, hey there, seventh graders. Miss Ha's coming at you. It's in the wee hours of the morning here, so it's quiet around here. It's dark still. I hope you're getting ready to get up and get ready for the day. So, I wanted to do this EdPuzzle just to hopefully save you some time and give you a quick overview of kind of how people first came to this continent, this North American continent that we know of. So I'm going to take you through a little bit of information here, and we'll stop a few times just to answer some questions. But the idea here, the goal is for you to know how people first moved to this continent. Where did they come from? How did they get here? And why our landforms, our continents, sort of the way they are. And we're going way back here in history, right? Like way before America was America. So just some information really quickly. As you can see, this is the differences between a continent and a country. And we talked about that last week a little bit. We defined both of these words. Continents, they're larger than countries. They're generally made up of countries, so countries fit within the larger continent. Continents change very slowly, so over millions of years, but countries can change faster. So there are countries who have been, their boundaries have changed, their borders have changed, their names have changed, sort of who owns that land or that country has changed. So continents rarely change, but countries can shift much faster. And then continents are generally separated by water for the most part, and countries are separated by borders. So we know that Europe and Asia are connected, that there is no water border between the two, but they are separate continents. And as we learned last week, some people mentioned that there's some controversy around that. Like, what is a continent? What is a country? And Australia is definitely an exception to this rule. Okay, so last week or a couple weeks ago, I asked you to read this in your text, right? You were reading about the first Americans and the migration of the first Americans. And so we learned about Beringia. That's what that's called, right? This land bridge where people were able to travel 30,000 years ago, right? Were able to travel from Asia across this land bridge that was exposed into North America. So the big question here is, or what I want you thinking about is, so what forced or caused the movement of these early Americans across Beringia and further into North America as time passed? Why did they move into this land in the first place? What forced them or caused them to move? All right, there's always a reason why people move, as you might have learned in sixth grade when we talked about immigration. So this EdPuzzle either is going to blow your mind or it's going to bore you to death, probably. But if you're a history nerd like me, I love history, but if you're a history nerd like me, you might be curious about some of these things and you might get your mind blown. Otherwise, buckle up, take the ride, and maybe you'll learn something new. So keep your mind open to it if you can. So how did people get to the North American continent? Well, believe what you want to believe, but there is a scientific explanation of how we're here. So you can believe whatever you want in terms of your religion. No disrespect, you are entitled to that, but I'm going to share with you just sort of the scientific explanation of how we got here in the first place. Okay, so how long has North America been a continent? Well, the answer is a long time. Many millions of years ago it became a continent. Okay, how long did prehistoric people populate the North American continent? So our current understanding, or what we know now, is that between 15,000 and 25,000 years ago, so long ago, people first sort of came into this land we call North America. And then remember, we talked about this too, the United States didn't become a country for 231 years ago. And so it's a relatively short-lived or young country, right? We haven't been around that long compared to these 15 to 25,000 years ago where people were first here. So when did people genetically similar to us populate the earth? When did that happen? People who look more like we do, our sort of skull structure and body shape. Every person on Earth right now can trace your histories back to a single common female ancestor. That's the news, right? We call her mitochondrial Eve. All right, Eve comes from the Christian religion of the first woman, right? But most recent common genetic ancestors of all current living humans. So she is who we sort of can claim or harken back to the start of people, right? She came about 200,000 years ago, and this was near in the continent of Africa, near Ethiopia and Somalia, where those are today, on kind of this eastern horn of Africa. Okay, so this was our evolution, right? We know this is our skull. We are Homo sapiens. That is our genus and our species, right? And this is where we came from, Homo neanderthalensis, right? They're extinct, but if you notice, right, the size of the shape of the head is very similar. It's evolved a little bit, okay? And this is what happened, right, before European folks came in and started to immigrate to this country, right, before Columbus discovered America. So how did all of these people get here? Where did they come from? Before the Europeans found this country and just started to settle here and expand, how did all of these tribes of Indian nations, all these native people land here? Well, it starts, believe it or not, it starts with water. All right, we know that water comes in three forms: solid, liquid, and gas. Solid, ice, right? Ice caps. Gas, we see steam or water vapor, right? Liquid, our water, our oceans, okay? So let's talk about a little bit, this is connected, global warming versus climate change, okay? Global warming is the overall warming of the planet and then the cooling. So it warms up and then it cools, versus climate change, but that also includes the changes that occur as a result of warming. So global warming is this warming of the planet. Climate change is the changes that result of that warmer and cooling. So what happens when the planet warms up and then when it cools down? That's what climate change is, okay? So here's our water cycle. We know that water keeps moving, right? Whether it's a solid, a liquid, or a gas. This is the water cycle that you probably learned about in science, right, in elementary school. At some point, it may be even in middle school. But the movement of water, right, this rain, this precipitation, it runs off, it goes into the groundwater, it evaporates, right, when the land warms up, it becomes steam, it condenses and goes back up into the clouds. So the water is always moving. So when you drink water, is it new water or is it recycled water, right? Where is it coming from, the water that comes out of your tap every day? Well, this is what happens, right? We drink it. After we drink it, it comes out of us, it exits us, right, into this turlet here, it goes into the sewer system, into separate sewer systems. It gets refined, it gets recycled, it gets cleaned, it gets sanitized, goes back to you and goes back to the toilet. So this is our own little water cycle that we've got going on here, right? We know also from science that matter cannot be created or destroyed, that it can only be transformed. So if you think about that, right, if it can't be destroyed, if it's always here, it just changes shape, it transforms. There is sort of the same amount of water on this planet today as there was 100 million years ago, right? That water is just constantly changing from a solid to a liquid to a gas and then back around the cycle. So, right, this is the mind-blowing part to me. You could be drinking the same water that Abe Lincoln drank in 1861 or that Harriet Tubman drank, right? She was helping to free the slaves. You could be drinking the same water as Martin Luther King or Theodore Roosevelt, right? So think about it for a second. Pretty crazy. And for me, that kind of blows my mind. Now, what causes the water to rise? What causes the ocean water to rise? We know that this is an issue, right? We see it melting here, right? You think about when you add ice to a glass, what happens to the water level of that glass, right? If you've got a glass of water and you put 4 or 5 ice cubes in there, what's going to happen to that level of the water? Well, it's going to rise, right? So check this out. So even as the water melted, right, it stayed the same amount of water. It doesn't change, it doesn't raise the level, right? Doesn't lower the level. That water amount stayed the same. So what causes ocean water levels to rise? Well, when ice glaciers, right, are trapped on a continent and they melt, the water flows into the oceans, and then the oceans are rising, right? They come up. So it creates more water in the ocean. Okay, now, if the ice cap, so if the North and South poles melted completely, sea level would rise 230 feet. So think about 230 feet more water. Okay, what would happen to the land, right, where the present day shore is? Think about what it would look like for all these places to be covered in water, right? So global warming causes the ocean levels to rise, but an ice age, so when we freeze, causes ocean levels to drop. Why? Well, because more water is trapped on the continents in the form of glacial ice. So it's up to 2.5 miles thick of ice. All right. So think about that when the ice takes over, right? When the ice forms and it can be that thick, okay, you see that this glacier forms and you've got this ice that moves in and it affects, right? It affects the land, it covers the land, it traps the land, okay? And that's what happened here, right? We talked about Beringia at the beginning of this land bridge that opened up between Russia and Alaska, okay? When there was an ice age, right, this land, water went away and this land emerged, right? And so people were able to move from Asia down into North America across this land bridge, right? So think about what it was like 14,000 years ago in Bloomington. We know that Bloomington, or that Minnesota, has all of these lakes, 14,000 plus lakes, because of those glaciers and they're melting. All right, so think about the connection and what it might have been like here in Bloomington, in your hometown where you live, 14,000 years ago with the ice caps. So first, in summary, all right, this North America continent was found millions of years ago as it broke away from Pangea. People that resemble modern humans have been around here for 200,000 years. People began to populate North and South America between 15,000 and 25,000 years ago by crossing that Beringia land bridge from Russia to Alaska. Several million people, native people, were living in North and South America when European explorers were discovering America. So when Columbus came, there were already millions of people living here. The United States was formed 230 years ago, and here we are. It's 2020. So think about all the things, the evolution of this country, what has changed in the last 231 years, but in the last 15,000 to 25,000 years as well. All right? Remember, we're a pretty young country. Okay? We're only 231 years old, but there's a lot of history. Next week, when we start getting into that history, we'll start talking about the American Revolution and how we became a country, a sovereign nation with our own government, and really how this country began. Okay? All right. Thank you. Have a great day.